Couple more minutes. All right. Homework is always a good choice. And then I am going to record this. And so I will share it just with our class. And so that way other people might find it useful, hopefully. All right. Well, let's get started. Hopefully some other people will join us as we go along. But all right. Well, as I mentioned, the midterm is going to be open notes and open book, and I want you to try and use AI. Maybe you've never actually used ChatGPT before, but it's not that difficult, which is, I think, one of the reasons why it's a little bit scary, because it's so easy to have it generate code for you or output an essay or something. And so I think moving forward, it's something that we're going to have to deal with on a professional level and also academically. So if any of you ever become teachers in the future, let's see, when is homework 4 due? We can look at that in a minute. I can make homework 4 due at the end of this week. Actually, no, I said it was going to be due after spring break. So I will definitely we'll put it at the end of spring break. So so that would be not at the end of this week, but at the end of next week. So this week you can just focus on the final. So I will definitely update that. But let's take a look at what ChatGPT is. Oh, yes. All right. So ChatGPT is a. I don't think this is what we want. ChatGPT. It's not. It's only text. So it is not. It's not any type of image generation. This is only text. So let's take a look at, I think I used this one actually. So there's different models. So if you just type in ChatGPT, there's a couple of different things that will come up. Well, let's go to the original ChatGPT, which is OpenAI. And you may have to register for it with a Google account. So I believe you can sign in with Google. You can say continue with Google. And if you have a Gmail account, then you can sign in. All right. So one of the projects that I'm going to have you work on is I'll type this in here. I'll say write a function that can find prime numbers in Matlab. Right? And that's all you need to do, and it can generate this code. So let's see what it gives us. Okay. Okay. So this is one possible code that it can give you, but as I mentioned before, this is it might not be the best type of code. We can try and run this in MATLAB and see what it gives us. So all you need to do is hit copy code. I guess I used a different AI yesterday, and it gave me a completely different code. So that was not directly from ChatGPT, but Let's see. All right, so these were a couple of different ones, but um, let's um, let's try this function and see what happens. And oh, my screen sharing is paused. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. So now I'm going to go into MATLAB and we will copy and paste this and we'll see what it gives us. All right. So here is the program that ChatGPT generated. Um, now this, I'm not actually sure what this sieve command does. I've never used that before. We can try and use this code that it gave us. One thing that we're going to talk about are functions, but up here at the top, a function has this particular syntax. So it says you declare function and then you say primes equals find prime limit. Okay. So and the way that the function works is now I'm going to save this and it's really important now that you save this function with the same name as the function, so called find primes. Okay, so this is just really important syntax. Okay, and let's go through how this works. So I'm going to say now to use this function. Okay, functions are a little bit different because on a function it usually has some type of input. So down at the bottom of my screen, I need to say find primes. And so I'm going to say find primes up to 100. And I think the way that it will work is it will find all of the prime numbers up to the number 100. Okay. So yes, it does actually work, right? And well, it actually no, it didn't. Actually, it didn't work. Okay, so ChatGPT gave me this function, and now that I'm looking at the output, I realize that this didn't work. Right? Because I look here and I say, okay, are these prime numbers? And the definition of a prime number is it has to be it can only have two factors, itself and one. Right, so I see right away 3 is a prime number and 4 is not. 4 is divisible by 2. Um, and so I would say that this code that it gave me, it really didn't work that well. And so that's one of the challenges that you might face is that the ChatGPT code doesn't actually work. Um, so um, let's take a look at this function sieve, or yeah. So when I look at this code, I say, I guess sieve is a variable, and I don't know what the function true says or what it does. Let's say true of 1, right, and true of 0. Wow, I don't even know what this does. So it did give me some code. Okay, so I guess the function true returns an n by n. All right. Well, I guess I would call this a fail. So even though ChatGPT did give me some type of code, I run the code and it seems like it didn't work. Okay. Um, let's look at a different AI engine. Okay, so we got this code from ChatGPT, but let's try a different AI engine. There are actually many different engines. Let's go to a different one that came up. Okay. Let me share my screen. All right. So here this AI engine is called Chatbot. So let's see if I can go back here. This is called GPT Chatbot and Open Chat. All right. So I typed in the code. I said, write a MATLAB code to find prime numbers. This one actually works. So I don't know why ChatGPT doesn't work. So let's take a look at this function. This one's actually better. All right. So if I open this one and I type it in, hey, this one also has a function. It's called function primes find prime. And I'm going to save this, right? And if you on your code, you have a function right here. It says function primes equals find primes. When you go to save it, the name of the file will automatically be findprimes.m. Okay, so that's how you want to save it. You don't want to change it at all. Okay, and so I've already created this file somewhere else. So I'm going to go over here to the one that I was working on before. Okay, so this is the same code, and this is actually from GP Chatbot. It's just a different AI engine. Now this one actually works. Right? So if I go to my command window and I were to type in the name of my file, which is all right. So I will have find primes, and then I will say 100. All right. So this function actually works to find prime numbers because I see here 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and 17. So this program actually works. The first one that I got, it didn't work. It doesn't actually find prime numbers. So if I look at my output from this, it's giving me a lot of numbers, but the actual MATLAB code from GPT doesn't actually work as it's given to me. Okay, so this was, I mean, the function will actually generate an output and the function works, but it doesn't give me the right output, at least from ChatGPT. When I went to a different AI engine, which was GPT or GP Chatbot, that one actually did give me a better MATLAB code. All right. So now for the final or for the midterm, what I want you to do is I'm going to want you to go through and comment what this is actually doing. And even if the code doesn't work, it's okay. You can still comment it and then try and fix it. And this is going to be one of the problems. Get a code that can find prime numbers. All right. Do you guys have any questions about how to use ChatGPT or what I've been doing so far?
Would you recommend that we use one or the other? Or does
Um,
it matter?
That's a really good question. So there are many different AI engines out there. I know Google has one, Microsoft has one. If you Google, Chat GPT, there'll be a bunch of different things that come up. So I guess what one of the things that you can do is um, find one that actually works. Okay. Um, that would be my advice. So Chat GPT I think is probably the most famous, but as you can see, it doesn't necessarily give you output that makes sense. So check it. Now, if you want to actually see what the prime numbers are, there's actually a function in Matlab where you can say primes up to a 100, and it will actually give you the first 100 primes. So if you go to an AI engine and you say, and you type this in and it gives you a program and you run it and you get a completely wrong result, then um, you'll need to either maybe use a different AI engine. All right, other questions? Um, Now, in terms of improving the code, because this is if you get this from chat or GP chatbot, okay, this does produce the correct output, but how could we improve the code? Um, let's I guess maybe let's talk about what this code is doing first of all. So I've got two for loops here, right? So this is this first for loop. Okay, this first for loop checks. This is the number that we're going to check. Okay, so I'll put here in my comments. So this is what you could, an example of what you could put for your comments. Generates numbers to check for primeness or whether they are prime number. Okay, now um, when I so this is the first for loop, and it's just going to generate an array, or I will go from 2 to however many I say. So this was, if I said 100, this will check up to 100. Now, do I need to check even numbers to see if they're prime? So for example, could 4 or 6 or 8 be a prime number? Well, an even number can't be a prime number because it has a factor of 2. So if you can divide it by 2 and it has the remainder of 0, then by definition, it's not a prime number. Okay. So that's what the second loop is doing here. Okay. So the second loop, it will um, it will basically check the number I to see if it's a prime number. Right, so um, do you guys remember what the function modulus does? Does anybody remember? All right, is anyone still listening? Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah,
Anybody?
we can.
Okay. All right. So the modulus function, if I say 4 modulus 3, it gives me a remainder of 1. All right, so if I say mod of 9 and I say 3, that is going to have a modulus of 0 because um, it has 0 remainder. So if it ever has a modulus of 0, that means it's not a prime number. Okay, so this is how we check to see if a number is prime. All right, so we get our number I. These are the numbers that we're checking, and then down here we're checking to see if I is divisible by J. Let's hear another one. Okay, so if the number I is divisible by J, then uh, mod of I comma J equals 0, or it's equal to 0. All right, does that make sense? Does anybody else have any other questions? Let's see, is there, oh wait, there's something in the chat. Oh, okay, you guys are answering yes. Okay, still here. All right. Um, all right, so Taylor, did you want to look at one of the homework problems?
Yeah, if we can.
Yes. Which homework problem would you like to look at?
Um, can we go over like, hold on. Um, maybe just like the first like two parts of homework 4.
Yes. Let me log in and to Canvas and then we can take a look. All right. So um is this for the best single month?
Yeah.
Okay. Um let's see. Have you started this one at all or
Um, I was able to like find like the like kind of what we did in class, like the last and like first day
yes.
of the month. But I just don't know like what to do after that. Like I don't know what to put to get the answer.
Oh, okay. Um, let me get my code back that we went over in class. Um, the main thing is that you need to have an if statement, right? So like if because you do you know how to calculate the difference between the opening day and the closing day? Did you get that part?
No.
Okay. Let me bring up my let me bring up what we did in class. That's a really good question. Um, Matlab close. Okay. So can you see my screen still?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So um you've got this menu and you're going to need to um you're going to need to set a variable called max gain. So this is going to be the the biggest gain in 1 month. Okay. And so um, let's take a look right here. Um, so in this line, you're going to say month open, and then you'll say data first day open, and then month close equals data last day close. Okay. Um, because that's going to give you the value from data for the opening day and then for the closing day. Um, this is um, opening value from data, and this is the closing value. All right. And then this is the formula that the problem says to use. So take the monthly closing value divided by the monthly opening value and then subtract 1. And then multiply it by 100. And this formula is going to give you the percent that the stock market has changed for that month. Okay. And so right here, the way that you check to see if it is the biggest gain is you need to use an if statement. So this checks for the largest gain. All right. And this variable max gain up at the top, you set that equal to 0. So once max gain is equal to 0, that means that for the first month, as you're going through all of your data from the Dow Jones Industrial Average text file, right? The first time you go through it, monthly gain will be bigger than max gain because initially max gain is going to equal 0. Okay. And if that's true, now, um, now what happens is you set max gain equal to the current monthly gain value because monthly gain has to be the largest, especially the first time you go through the stock market. Okay, so now max gain takes the value of monthly gain, and so the value of max gain has been updated. Okay. And then this is a really important step here because your program should have found the first day of the next month. Is that right, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it always finds, um, it'll find the last day of one month and then the first day of the next month. Right. And
Yep.
so now you're going to update max start to that first day value. Right. And then, so let's see here, because up in our code, we said the last day is equal to I, right? So this will be the last day of the month. And then, um, where do we say what max start is? Okay. Oh, okay. So we say max start equals first day, and then max end equals last day, right? All right. So does that help, Taylor?
Yeah. Can we go over the next part then too?
Yes. Let's take a. Okay. So the most consecutive days with gain. All right. So how can you what would be a way that you could check for that? Like what's your general idea for in terms of the algorithm of how you would do that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, first you need to determine if the closing value of or so the gain for one day is positive, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you should have that part in stocks.in, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So um if you determine that one day there was a positive gain, so most consecutive days with gain. All right. So basically, if you detect a day where there was positive gain, okay, then you need to have a variable that, so, like you could put an if statement. So, um, let's go over to Matlab. All right. All right. So most consecutive days of gain in a row. So here what they did is they said streak equals 0. Right? So that means because we're looking for a streak. And so if the previous day was positive and then the next day is also positive, then you need to update the value of streak by 1. You need to add 1 to it, basically. Okay. So um, so here you say for I equals 1 to the length of your data, then you have um gain for the day. So data of I close minus data of I open. If gain is positive, so if it's greater than 0, then streak equals streak plus 1. Okay. And then else, if streak is greater than max streak, okay, because max streak is like the biggest streak that you have, then say max streak equals streak, right? And then um, set streak equal to 0. All right, so if gain is greater than 0, then for that day, you update the value of streak. So you say streak equals streak plus 1. And then if streak is greater than max streak, now you update the value of max streak to the new streak value. Okay. And then end of the day, so end day I minus 1. Right. All right, so end of day equals 0. Start of day equals 0. All right, but this is the main point of this is that you have this variable streak, and if streak is positive, then you would update it with this value. Okay, so if gain is greater than 0, now if it's not, so here in our if statement, if gain is 0, then you update the streak value. If it's not, now you say, all right, so the gain was less than 0, so we had a day of loss. Okay, so then we have to stop the count, right? And so that's what this line is doing. So this line says if gain was less than 0, start count over. Okay, so this resets our count, right? And then it says it it saves the value of streak to the maximum streak value, right? If streak was greater than max streak, and then end day, this tells you how many days there were. Okay, so this would be like the last day of the positive gain was I minus 1. All right, does that help, Taylor?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Um, are there any other questions?
When are you gonna post the exam?
It should be in about half an hour, hopefully. I just want to make sure that there aren't any mistakes or anything like that in it. So it'll be today for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm sorry. I actually was really confused about the um the last part in the homework.
So
The um
market
the
trends.
yeah.
Okay. So which part were you confused about?
I guess like I was just like because I feel like in like the other parts like it kind of almost like says like how to like I don't know, like how to like go like about it, but this one I just was like really kind of at a loss of like how to start like setting it up like to find the geometric mean.
Okay. So let's see. In this problem, we examined some historical trends in the market. In particular, there's reason to believe that the market activity is different on the very last market day of a year or the very first market day of a year, because some people may time their trades due to tax considerations. Okay. To test this hypothesis, we want to compute the geometric mean of the daily percentage change taken over 3 sample sets. All right. So it says all yearly first market days. Okay, so that means the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find the first day of every year, and then all yearly last market days. So you'll need to find the last day of every year, and then you'll need to compute this for every day. And so you're going to output all 3 of those. All right. So that's what we're finding. Now let's look at what a geometric mean is. Okay. So, um, okay. So, um, this one, so are you confused about how to do the geometric mean?
I guess I'm just like confused about how you would go about it like in MATLAB. Like
Okay. So were you able, are you able to find the first days and the last days of the years?
Um, I I'm not sure if like I was doing something, but I'm not sure if it was like right. So I think I just kind of just confused in general.
Okay. Well, we can at least do it for every day. All right. So in our formula here, we're going to need to take the nth root of the sum. So basically, the sum of, let's see, so this would basically be the gain for every day, right? So we'd have the gain of day one, the gain of day two, the gain of day three, and so on. And then we take the nth root of that. All right, so let's look at first how to just take an nth root of something in MATLAB. All right, so let's say we have the number 27. Okay, if we take the third root of this, right, the answer is 3. Okay, so if let's say 27 times 3, 81. So uh if I took the fourth root of 81, then the answer is 3. Okay, so basically, you're just going to take the gain from each day, whatever days that it's asking you for, multiply them together, and then take however many roots there are of that. So let's go back to the problem for a second. Okay, so we need to find the daily percentage change for each day that we're looking at. And that's what we found before, right? Where's the formula for daily percentage change? Let's see. All right. So let's use this formula that we used before. So the gain is computed as the ratio minus 1, then multiplied by 100. So for this, we're gonna have let's make a new file here. So we'll have this will be closing value divided by opening value minus 1. So here's our formula, or this is the formula that we're going to use, times 100. So this is the formula that you're going to use, and this will be equal to your daily gain. Okay, so you'll need to compute this for every day that it's talking about, and then take the nth root of your daily gain. So we'll call this daily gain n, right? That where n is the index number of what day it is. Okay, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so then and maybe we should call this I, because all right, so there's the formula that we're going to use. Then to take this geometric mean, okay, so we will say we will take the whatever this is, so it'll be DGI times DGI plus 1 times DG, and this should be okay, so this will be our index value. The DGI plus, so I plus 2, right? And then we're going to take the nth root of that. So this would be to the power of 1 over the root I plus 2. I should say plus I plus 2. Okay. And you'll need to do this for the last day of the year, the first day, and then all the days. So you'll get 3 different results. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? These are really good questions.
So I was doing the second part of the homework,
Okay.
the like gain streak one,
Hmm.
and I was gonna use an if to where the close is greater than the open, and then add 1 to the current streak.
Yes.
But I could not figure out how to look through all the data in the array to actually do that.
Uh, so you don't necessarily have to put all the data into an array when you do that. You can put it all in an array, but then if you do that, you're going to need a separate for loop that goes through and checks each value of the array. Okay. So that is one way to do it. Create an array of all the values, but then you're going to need a for loop to go through and check each value of that and then create and then keep account for that. Okay. So I might what I might suggest is so here in this way of doing it, you don't actually put all of those values into an array and keep track of them. Because here I compute gain, okay, but I don't save that into an array. That's just a single value. But I say, okay, if my gain is greater than 0, it just has to be higher than 0. It doesn't have to be bigger than the day before. It just has to be greater than 0. I say if gain is greater than 0, then add 1 to the streak. And so I'm not putting anything into an array yet, because in this particular problem, you don't actually need an array to do it. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Because if you're just updating the most current value, you don't actually need to make an array. Because I mean, you already have data in memory. So I mean, you can make another array. You're not gonna run out of memory or anything. That's a good question. Right. Any other questions? Right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, then I will probably let you go, and this exam should be online within the hour. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, and I'll also have time on Thursday if you'd like to do Zoom then as well. So if you have more questions, I'll be available.
You said this homework was going to be due after spring break,
After
correct?
spring break, yes, at the
Okay.
end of spring break.
And then also, like, I don't know, I know you mentioned in class we could do the exam with a partner. Is that still a thing, or do you not
Yeah,
want
you can do it with the partner.
that? Okay,
Yes, just one partner. You'll need to write down your partner's name.
okay.
And then your test will still, it still should be distinctly different than your partner. So you can talk about it and discuss it, but when you go to actually write it, you'll need to, write your own work.
Like the comments and stuff, just
Yeah, the comments should be different, and you might even have like different code in places, but you can definitely discuss it and talk about it. Absolutely. Okay, well, any other questions?
Dr. Risby,
Hi.
I just want to ask, like, when is the due date for the test?
It'll be Friday. So
Friday this
yeah,
week?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I can find the test on Canvas, right?
Well, I haven't posted it yet, but I will send
Oh,
out
okay.
an announcement as soon as it's posted.
Okay, thank you.
I just need to check it for spelling and grammar, and I make sure the problems are clear.
Okay. And just one more question, like, where I can find the record of this class?
Oh, this video session?
Yeah.
I will post it on YouTube and I'll send a link to it also.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. And I'll stop. Okay.
Thank you, like and subscribe down below.